Hey, welcome. Glad you could join us today.
Hi there. Good to be diving into this.
Before we really get started, if you enjoy what we're doing here, maybe take a second to subscribe to the channel.
Yeah, honestly, we put a lot of work into finding the details and putting these conversations together for you, so it really helps us out.
Definitely. Okay, so today's topic. It's the story of Ruby Franke and the 8 Passengers YouTube channel.
Right. It kicked off back in 2015. Ruby was, what, 33?
Yeah, around then. And it started as this seemingly, very open, wholesome look into their large family life.
And it just took off. Exploded online.
Didn't it just? 5 days a week, right? A new video consistently.
Exactly. And by 2020, they had this huge following. We're talking 2.5 million subscribers.
Wow.
And over 1 billion video views. They really painted this picture, a happy, organized family.
Seemed like the ideal.
Right.
But then, wow, things took a really dark turn. Unexpectedly dark.
Yeah, it all started to unravel after a neighbor made a call. That call just pulled back the curtain on the whole online persona.
Revealed something really, really disturbing underneath. So that's what we want to do today. Kind of unpack the key events, try and understand what actually happened here.
Okay, so let's start maybe with the rise. How did 8 Passengers get so big? And how did Ruby become this momfluencer?
Well, the initial concept was pretty straightforward, wasn't it? Just filming the family's daily life.
Right, and Ruby was the engine behind it all.
Totally. Recording, editing, coming up with the video concepts. It was her project.
Yeah, she brought her family's life into millions of homes. The early stuff was, relatable family moments, everyday things.
Mixed with what looked like helpful parenting tips, motivational advice, that sort of thing.
And people bought into it. Viewers genuinely thought they were watching a healthy, happy family, maybe picking up some positive lifestyle lessons.
And that really cemented her status as a momfluencer. Someone sharing their parenting journey, influencing others.
But then the focus started to shift a bit, didn't it? Less just daily life.
And more towards specific parenting techniques, child rearing tips.
Exactly. And as the audience grew, some viewers started noticing things that felt off.
Like overly strict behavior towards the kids, who were kind of, like you said, almost extras in their own family's story sometimes.
Yeah. And the punishment seemed unusual. Not your typical timeouts.
Right, like losing TV privileges for ages or being isolated from friends for, pretty minor stuff.
And wasn't there something about intense physical exercises as punishment?
Yeah, that too. And withholding food. Sometimes for really small reasons, it seemed.
The one that really stands out from early on is the oldest son, having to sleep without a bed.
For months, apparently. Because he was disrespectful to his brother. It just sounds extreme.
Now, some people connected this kind of strictness to the family's religious background. That might have played a part.
But it gets complicated because Ruby filmed these moments.
Yeah.
She uploaded the discipline, even when the kids clearly looked upset or uncomfortable.
Which makes you wonder, right? Was it purely about discipline? Or was it also about creating content? Content that maybe got more attention because it was controversial or showed conflict.
It's a really uncomfortable thought.
And those concerns weren't just whispers. People were worried enough to start an online petition on change.org.
Trying to get Child Protective Services involved, asking for an investigation.
Exactly. It got like 18,000 signatures, which shows a lot of people were seeing red flags.
But ultimately, it didn't lead anywhere at that point.
No, not then. It highlights how viewers can spot problems, but also the limits of online action without, official channels stepping in.
Okay, so fast forward to 2020. That seems like a real turning point. 2 big things happen.
Right. First, the oldest daughter and son, they leave home, go off to college somewhere else.
And second, Ruby and her husband, Kevin, meet Jodi Hildebrandt in a counseling session.
Yeah, and Jodi Hildebrandt. Maybe not your standard marriage counselor. Reports suggest her clients weren't always happy.
That meeting seems crucial because this friendship forms between Ruby and Jodi.
A very intense friendship, it seems. And that eventually leads to 8 Passengers just stopping in 2022.
The original channel with all those millions of followers just goes dark.
Yeah. And then this new channel pops up. Mothers of Truth.
Still focused on parenting advice, but now with Jodi Hildebrandt front and center alongside Ruby.
Right. And around the same time, Shuri, the eldest daughter who'd moved out, she started creating some online content herself. It felt like maybe she was trying to signal something or help her siblings.
Kind of like the petition earlier, but again, it didn't really gain traction or lead to intervention.
No. Which brings us to that awful day August 30th, 2023.
The day Russell Franke escaped. He was 12.
Escaped from Jodi Hildebrandt's house,
Yeah.
which was also where they filmed Mothers of Truth.
And the state he was in? It's just horrifying to read about.
Appalling. Severely malnourished, incredibly weak, just clearly suffering.
And the physical evidence? The wounds, the duct tape, still on his wrists and ankles.
Yeah, just shocking.
So obviously, he's rushed to the hospital, and the police head straight to Jodi's house.
And what they found inside. Well, let's talk about Jodi's reaction first, based on that police body cam footage.
Okay, her body language when they first arrive.
It's really revealing. She initially tries to stop them coming in, right? Resists.
Yeah, asking for a warrant, trying to assert control.
Then there's that flash of anger. Like, she sees it as an illegal intrusion.
But it shifts again, quickly.
Yeah.
To seeming kind of sad, almost playing the victim, when she asks about the warrant again.
Right. Trying to look innocent, maybe get some sympathy.
In that moment when she offers to tell them what's inside, but her lips are pressed so tightly together.
Classic sign of holding back, right? Like she's consciously stopping herself from saying something.
The rapid emotional shifts, resistance, anger, sadness, that withholding it all screams anxiety, distress, losing control.
Yeah, and the big question hanging there is, why was she so desperate for them not to go inside?
And the answer becomes horribly clear once they do. They find a large closet.
And inside, Eve, Ruby's youngest daughter.
Locked in there, no food, no water, showing obvious signs of malnourishment.
And that detail about her having a delayed reaction to being offered food, it just speaks volumes about the fear, the conditioning.
It's just awful. And it didn't stop there, did it?
No. In another room, they find a big safe.
Containing ropes and handcuffs.
And the location of that safe.
Yeah.
Right behind where they filmed Mothers of Truth.
The implication is sickening. That a child could have been locked in there while they were recording parenting advice videos.
Just unbelievable. Then Ruby Franke gets home, apparently unaware of what's unfolded.
And their initial reaction, sitting on the couch, arms folded, she looks detached, but also maybe nervous, upset. It's hard to read initially.
But then she changes, starts pacing, head held high, not really looking around. It's this odd display of confidence, defiance.
There's just no visible fear or shame or guilt in those early moments. It's quite striking.
Until that moment she's handcuffed, there's like a split second where her composure cracks.
Yeah, like reality hits for just an instant.
But then she snaps right back into that detached state. But her face in that moment, it looks like anger, not remorse.
Pure anger. And her refusal to speak afterwards feels like a power move, trying to hold on to some control.
The police tried, but couldn't get anything out of her initially.
Which leads us to the interrogation room. And the contrast between Ruby and Jodi there is fascinating.
Totally. Ruby's control is, well, it's unusual, arms folded tight, staring straight ahead, refusing eye contact completely.
It sends such a strong do not engage signal, refusing to be vulnerable. Even with simple questions, she's just silent. It feels like a way to maintain power when everything else is gone.
It's true. And sometimes innocent people who are wrongly arrested can react with that kind of shutdown, that refusal to engage.
But given everything else emerging, her silence is still pretty remarkable. Maybe her lawyer told her to say nothing. Fair enough.
But the emotional shutdown is extreme, though if you look closely, there are little signs. The rapid blinking, the breathing.
Suggesting inner turmoil, despite the calm exterior.
Exactly. Underneath that composure, there's likely a lot of anxiety she's fighting to hide.
Now compare that to Jodi. It's night and day.
Oh, absolutely. Jodi seemed genuinely scared, much less in control.
And she seemed to be trying to connect with the interrogators, didn't she? Almost seeking reassurance, trying to lessen her own anxiety.
Yeah. There was that moment after a joke where she visibly relaxed for a second, unclenched her hands, leaned back.
But it didn't last long. She tensed right back up.
And when she said her lawyer told her not to talk, but then immediately followed with, "But I want to cooperate."
It kind of implies she knows she's in trouble, right? Maybe hoping cooperation helps. An implicit admission of guilt, almost.
It could be read that way. And the body language differences are stark. Ruby's folded arms, confidence, anger, barrier up. Jodi's tension, arm pressure, stress, anxiety, maybe shutting down defensively.
But in the end, neither initial interrogation really went anywhere productive. Both insisted on lawyers being present.
Right. But the investigation continued outside the room. Police found 2 more Franke kids.
At the home of an acquaintance, Pam.
Yes, and sadly, they weren't in great shape either. Found cleaning Pam's house.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
So they were also taken into care by Child Protective Services.
Correct. All the children were eventually placed in care, and Ruby and Jodi were arrested, held without bail, waiting for trial.
Then came the discovery of Ruby's diary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that diary contained just horrific details, abuse that wasn't even captured on video or otherwise documented, withholding food, forced labor.
And wasn't there something about an attempt to drown one of the sons?
Yes, just awful. That diary, on top of everything else,
Yeah.
it left Ruby with basically no defense.
So the confession in court, likely a strategic move,
Mm-mm.
hoping for a lighter sentence when the evidence was so overwhelming.
It seems very likely there wasn't really anywhere else for her to go.
And the sentencing came in February 2024,
Both Ruby and Jodi got 4 to 60 years for child abuse.
which, given the severity and the public nature of it all, probably means they'll serve a very long time. Over 30 years seems likely.
That's the general consensus, yes. A really stark end.
Yeah.
And Kevin Franke, the dad.
He filed for divorce back in November 2023.
So we've traced this journey from, this seemingly perfect online family
Yeah, this huge YouTube success.
to this reality of just horrific abuse and deception. It's shocking.
It really is. And it brings up so many disturbing questions, doesn't it? About exploiting kids for content, about how a huge audience could miss or maybe ignore warning signs.
The calculated manipulation by Ruby and Jodi, it's chilling.
It really makes you think,
Mm-hmm.
what does a case like this say about those connections we form online? These parasocial relationships with people we feel we know but don't? And what responsibility do we as viewers actually have when we watch this stuff?